Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to check out Encounter's Bravest Warrior. There's actually two different decks. There's the red deck and the blue deck. By themselves, they support 1 to 4 players. They're for ages 12 and up, and the average play time is between 15 and 30 minutes. They are purchased separately and can be played separately, but they can be combined in order to increase the maximum player count to 8. So again, red deck, blue deck, they each go for about 12 or 13 bucks. I'll have a link in the below description. Just to quickly sum this game up, it's a push your luck dice rolling game with heroes and item cards. And of course, there are encounters that players will be trying to defeat. So without further ado, let's take a quick look at the components and see how the game is played. Okay, so before we jump into gameplay, I want to quickly show you both games, or both decks. You've got your red deck over here and your blue deck over here. They both contain 55 cards and 7 dice. 6 are regular, 1 is this bonus cat bug die. It comes into play during special circumstances. So they have the same number of components, it's just they have different cards. That's all it really comes down to. They both have hero cards, encounter cards, and item cards, but they're different. For example, you've got the red deck over here. The heroes that you can be, you've got Danny, and they have special abilities listed: Beth, Catbug, and Jelly Kid. Then you've got your encounter cards here. So there's a good number of those. Players are going to be trying to defeat these. And then you've got these item cards in the back here that allow players to perform special abilities and that kind of thing. And then over here in the blue deck, again, same card types. You've got your heroes, encounters, and item cards. They're just different. You've got Chris as the hero. You've got Plum, you've got Wallow, and then you've got Impossibear. So yeah, and then you've got your encounters here, Teacup Terriers, and there's little symbols on the right telling you what kind of modifiers that encounter has, that kind of thing. Then you've got your item cards in the back. And again, these cards are different than the ones found in here. So really, it's up to you whether or not you like red or blue better. Okay, game setup is pretty simple. You'll want to separate the cards into their card types. So basically heroes, encounters, and items. The encounter deck is shuffled separately. Items are shuffled separately. Each player chooses a hero and plays it face up in front of them. Each one has a specific ability, so you want to read those first before you pick one. The first or starting player gets the 6 dice. The bonus die is placed off to the side. And finally, players can agree if they want to start with one item card. Like beginners, for example, may want to start with an item card just to give them a little bit of an edge at the beginning of the game. But players don't have to do that if they don't want to. On a player's turn, what they'll do is flip the first encounter card. They'll put it into the first column, and columns are important for reasons I'll get into later. But what they're going to do, or the active player, is going to go ahead and roll the dice, okay? And, okay, good. All right, so what they're going to try and do is lock in the dice that they're rolling onto the target value that is listed on the card. It's a 1 for those of you that can't see it. So what they're going to do is assign that die to that card like so. Now, if it happens to be like a 10 or 11, they'd have to put multiple dice onto the card so that the sum of those dice reaches the target value. If they manage to do that, in this case they did because there's a 1 here, they can either stop and score what they have, or they can keep going. If they decide to keep going, they'll go ahead and flip the next encounter card like that. Then they'll have a new number to reach. It looks like this is a 9. So this player is going to go ahead and roll the dice, and let's just say, I'm going to fudge the numbers to make sure I get it. Okay, so 4, 3, 1, 1. I didn't have to fudge anything. So I could put a 4, a 3, a 1, and a 1 on here, and that totals to 9. I mean, alternatively, I could have used less dice. I could have used the 6 and the 3, and that'll give me 3 more dice to roll if this player decides to keep going. If they decide to stop, like I said, what they're going to want to do is just score what they have. Speaking of scoring, the game does not come with a score pad or anything like that, so players are going to need a piece of paper and a pencil in order to keep track of their score as they're playing this game. Okay, so what happens when they don't manage to meet their target value on the next encounter card? Well, let's just go ahead and see what happens. This one is a 5 again. This is all in the first column now. It's a 5. So let's say he rolls a 1, a 1, and a 1. Well, that does not add up to 5, so unfortunately he fails that roll, and everything he's gotten up to that point is lost. You get 0 points for that turn. So yeah, pushing your luck and failing is a bad thing in this game. Now, let's just say that he manages to do it, and he uses all 3 dice. Let's say 2 and a 1. Okay. So now he's locked in all of his dice. He did manage to complete that particular encounter, but now he's locked in all of his dice. So at this point, the player can keep going if they want to, or they can score what they have. If they decide to keep going, they unlock all of their dice, like so. It's sort of like Farkle, if you've ever played Farkle. And then they'll go ahead and start a second column, okay? And this plays an important part during scoring. Basically, the way that works is any card in column 1 is worth 1 point. So if this player decides to score, let's say that he keeps playing, locks in dice, blah, 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 and decides to stop somewhere around here, and he decides to score. This would be 1, 2, 3 points, and then cards in the second column are worth 2 points. The cards in the third column are worth 3, and so on. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if the player were to stop here, this player would earn a total of 7 points. They'd write it down on their paper, and the next player would get to take their turn. Now this game also has an assist mechanic, which basically allows other players to help the active player. And the active player cannot refuse the help. It's not like Munchkin, where you can go back and forth negotiating. The active player has to take the help. In this case, let's just say that this Impossible, it's this player's turn, 2 dice left. This guy has an item card called Pony Lords, and who wouldn't want an item card called Pony Lords? Roll the bonus die. So this player could help out this player over here if he needed it. So let's just say that he draws the next encounter. This guy here draws the next encounter. It's a cow. It needs 3. And let's just say he rolls a 6 and a 1. Okay. So this is not going to work. If you shoot over the mark, it doesn't count. So this player is out of luck. This 1 does not work. This 6, and combining these is a 7. That doesn't work either. So let's say that this player wants to help out this active player and plays Pony Lords. Pony Lord says roll the bonus die. This gives this player the opportunity to roll maybe a 2, and let's just say through sheer luck, it's a 1 in 6 chance, but through sheer luck, is it 1 in 6? Actually, there's a little cat on here. I don't know if it's 1 in 6 or not. But yeah, let's just say through sheer luck, he rolls a 2 on that. Any item cards used are put into a discard pile. And that allows this player to complete this challenge. 1 and 2 is equal to 3, which is the value listed here. And let's say, okay, now I'm stopping. I don't trust the encounter deck anymore. That's it. So this player is now going to score. Now, because this other player here made an assist, they get to take, basically it's a split. So you're going to count up the number of points. You're going to split it between the players rounded down. So if you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, split in half, it would be, 4.5 rounded down is 4. So each player would receive 4 points. Now there's something else I want to quickly go over. It's called Coattailing, and basically that allows a player to pick up where the previous player left off should they fail in their roll. Normally, whenever a player fails and it's the end of their turn, all of these cards here are discarded into a discard pile, and the new active player will flip 1 encounter to start the first column. But a player can coattail if they want to. Basically, the way that works is, let's say that this player here is the active player. He rolls dice and doesn't get it. He needs a 13 in order to complete that encounter. He's got a 1, 1, 1, 4, so that's not enough. So this player has failed. Now this player has a choice. He can either coattail, which I'll explain in a minute, or he can just discard everything, start a new encounter, start fresh, and be done with it. If he decides to coattail, what will happen is this card, the failed card or the failed encounter, will go into the discard pile and a new one will be drawn. All of the locked dice stay where they are, and with the remaining dice, he's going to go ahead and roll these and try and complete that. Now we rolled a 2. So he can lock that in, that's no problem. And again, he can keep going or he can score. The nice thing here is he can stop right now and basically score on everything that this active player just did. So coattailing is pretty powerful. You can't keep coattailing through the entire game. If the active player were to coattail and fail, or if this player were to do his thing, fail, and this player were to coattail, then once you get around to the active player again, you can no longer coattail. So you can only do like one complete revolution across all of the players before you're forced to discard everything and then start fresh again. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Players will continue taking turns, rolling dice, pushing their luck, trying to score on these encounters, and the first player to reach 30 points wins. Of course, you can choose any number you want to. If you want to play a shorter game, you can do like 15 or 20. If you want to play a longer game, you can do 50, and so on. And it's worth noting that some of these cards even have special conditions. Like this one here has a crossed out chainsaw, which is an item card. So this player, any player that happens to be rolling on this at that time cannot use an item card with this particular encounter. However, if they manage to score what they have, and this card is one of them, there's a special little symbol here. It's a 6 with a +1 on it. Basically, that allows a player to keep this encounter instead of discarding it along with the others, and it's a one-time use. They can add a +1 to any die roll. So some of these encounters have special abilities, special circumstances, and again, the first player to reach the agreed upon point value, the default is 30, will win the game. Okay, so there you have it, a very brief look at encounters, Bravest Warriors. It's important to stress that I did not cover all of the rules found in the manual. This was just a brief overview so that you could get an idea as to what the game is like, should you want to pick it up for yourself. Again, there are actually two games. There is the red deck and the blue deck. And honestly, both are pretty awesome, so I would recommend either one. Speaking of recommending this game, I do. For 12 or 13 bucks, again, the price will vary depending on where you go. Amazon, I think I'm looking at my screen right now, it's 11 or 12 bucks on Amazon. But I'll have links in my review should you want to see it, or in the below description. But anyway, what did I think of Bravest Warriors? Well, one thing I do like about this is that it takes Farkle to the next level. I mean, a lot of push your luck dice games operate the same way. You roll dice, you lock them in, and you have to roll either what you have or stop, and that's it. This game takes it to the next level by adding item cards, and I'm sorry I keep doing this, it's an Italian thing. I use my hands a lot. I'm going to have to try and maybe sit on my hands in the next video and hope that works. Anyway, the item cards and the hero abilities add some flair to the... Sorry. It adds flair to the game, and it just makes your average run-of-the-mill push your luck dice rolling game all the more better, I think. I mean, anyone can play Farkle, but I imagine after a while you might get sick of it. Just constantly rolling dice and that's it. Like, there's nothing special to spice it up. With this game, you've got the item cards, you've got hero abilities, and there's different ones, so you can choose different heroes each time and see how they play out. The item deck is pretty stacked, so there's a lot of things here. And this is just the blue deck, the blue deck, mind you. You've got Sugar Peas, all rolled 2s are wild. Paralyzed Horse, all rolled 6s are wild. Temporal Parasocks, re-roll all dice not already locked on encounters. And again, this is just one deck. If you happen to play this game enough and you get sick of seeing the same cards over and over again, you can go ahead and buy the other deck, which has different cards in it. So there's a lot of replayability here, I think, and I do recommend this one at its price point. If you guys want to see my written review, you can at www.dadsgamingaddiction.com. If you haven't already, subscribed to my YouTube channel. That way you can keep up to date with any new content I happen to publish. This is Vince, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.